What's going on, everybody? I am Goat. Hi. Sorry for the camera being all up in the business. You know the deal. I'm an idiot. So, week 10. Week 10. I know I'm late to the party again, as per my usual, because I'm a douchebag. Whatever. Sorry. Camera got moved all over the fucking place. So, Ravens, Dolphins. Yeah. I don't even know what to say about this one. Ravens look like shit. Ravens 10, Dolphins 22. So I don't know about anybody else, but did the Ravens just look horrible in this game or what? The offense looked out of sorts and off their usual scheme in so many ways. Jackson was just so off the mark in this game with all of his reads, and then all of a sudden he just looks like he's not ready for that big game again. This is what he's looked like the last couple of seasons, and this just wasn't even a big game yet. So, look, I don't doubt Lamar Jackson's abilities. I really don't, okay? I 100% don't. But he leaves me questioning his resolve in stressful situations. You know, I mean, if that makes any sense whatsoever, that's really where I stand with Lamar Jackson. He leaves me questioning his resolve in these kind of highly stressful situations. Makes me wonder how much of a push he can do, because I mean, you're playing the Dolphins, for fuck's sake. They're a mess. Okay, they're just a fucking mess. And they came in and did what nobody thought that they were going to do. So yeah, I mean, this game is just another example of a hurdle that he's just got to get himself over. When the defense pressures him, he's got to get that shit out of his head and move forward. Just my opinion. They just gave up some really dumbass plays on the defense, and just overall, the entire fucking team just looked completely fucking off. And this is one of the teams that I've been considering to be one of the top 4 best teams in the fucking AFC side of the ball. So this really hurts my fucking head. Yeah, so Dolphins. Brissett goes out with a really, really, really bad case of concrete foot. Basically, what that means is that his foot anchored to the fucking ground and he fuckered his knee up pretty bad. And here comes Tua, and I'm immediately thinking, well, okay, the Ravens now have a chance, and I'll be damned if he didn't show the fuck up. He looked efficient. The one thing that I will give the Dolphins in this game is that their defensive scheme absolutely fucked Lamar Jackson's day up. Okay, their defensive scheme just absolutely ruled the Ravens offense, and it just had them confused on play calling. It had Jackson confused at the line. It had the O-line all sorts of confused. It was a bad game for the Ravens and a good defensive game for the Dolphins, and enough offensively to stay ahead of the Ravens, which is what they needed to do. So, I mean, kudos to the Dolphins for getting the win, but I don't see the ship righted just yet, to say the least. So Saints at Titans. Saints 21, Titans 23. And this was a game of interest for me because you're talking about 2 dinged up teams that are both in playoff contention. Saints, this was an ugly game. No Kamara, no Jameis Winston, and just not pretty at all. Trevor Siemian went 19 of 34 for 298 yards and 2 touchdowns, but they only rushed for 86 yards because of having no Alvin Kamara in there. The killer, honestly, was the 2 missed PATs, because that would at least let him to a tie by the end of the game. Truthfully, at least in my opinion, their lack of offensive productivity overall, I mean, the Titans are no punk defense or offensive team. They're not amazing without Derrick Henry, but they're not a punk team either. They've got talent. So defensively, you would expect a little bit of struggles, but the Titans have been pretty good defensively, surprisingly, over the last few weeks. So I really expected more of a showing, especially as dinged up as the Saints offense was. So, but honestly, what killed the Saints was the Saints, their own damaging plays, or lack of. With the Titans, no Derrick Henry really does just show. I mean, Adrian Peterson, he was a great running back in his time, but he's not Derrick Henry. Okay, he's not the guy that's going to be faking out a fucking long-term goal of finishing out the season trying to fake out a play-action game or actually trying to build a run game off of. I'm sorry, he's just not. The offense was just very unproductive. The defense literally carried the team through this game. They really did. Don't get me wrong, Tannehill was efficient enough, but not insanely impressive. So if they can just keep this defensive stance going throughout the rest of the season and then get Henry back in the postseason, yeah, as long as he's not Russ Bucket Derrick Henry when he comes back, cool. But God only knows what he's going to look like when he comes back. So, Bills at Jets. First of all, Mike White coming back to start. Ouch. Ouch. Yeah. Bills 45, Jets 17. Bills are a stacked team. They need a recovery game. There you go. So the Bills finally stepped up out of their slump against a really disjointed team. Again, this does not leave me being a believer just yet, because I truly want them to be dominant against a true contending team that's not missing a bunch of players or in some weird-ass slump when they're at the point of playing them. They've got such a stocked-up roster, much like the Rams, that they just need to go out and prove it now. Jets, what the fuck to say? I mean, what do you say about this? Mike White was a rock star 2 weeks ago. A week ago, he gets knocked out with an injury. This week, he goes in, throws fucking 4 interceptions, and gets replaced with Joe Flacco. That's just the story of the Jets, so it is what it is. Lions at Steelers. Tied 16-16. The fuck? The Steelers are better than this. I understand. No Roethlisberger due to COVID. Whatever. Rudolph is not a terrible quarterback. He's not amazing, but he's not terrible. But he's definitely better than this. The Lions, I'm just going to say, well, apparently either the Lions showed up for a game or the Steelers forgot that they were actually supposed to play, even though it was a bad team. I'm going for kind of both on this. Kudos to Lions for at least getting a tie, but I'm still firm in my belief of just how bad this team really is. The Steelers, I mean, what the fuck is wrong with this team? Just because Roethlisberger's not in there, all of a sudden you can't fucking play? Come on, get the fuck out of here. You literally tie with what's arguably one of the worst teams in the fucking league. Get the fuck out of here. This team is way better than what the fuck they showed, and it doesn't matter who their starting quarterback is, unless it's somebody like the dude down at the Texans. I can't remember his name right now. He's that irrelevant. So yeah. Oh, I typed something in the wrong place. That's cool, because I'm stupid. So, Jaguars, Colts. Jags 17, Colts 23. Jags, well, although they lost again, they at least showed that they had some fight in them. I could still see so many problems with this team, but there's a little good left in them. Okay, there is just little gleaming hopes here and there. That's all I can say. Colts, the method of beating a bad defense, run the ball down their damn throats and watch them squirm. That's exactly what happened. 128 yards on the ground. And the problem really came down to their red zone offense just being able to finish the fucking game strong. They literally had to, just dig themselves out of this shit. They got 3 points in the entirety of the second half. That's a big fucking problem if they face a good team. Truth. Buccaneers at Washington football team, 19-29. And yeah, Jaguars at Colts was 17-23 if I did not say it. Buccaneers 19 lost to the fucking Washington football team with 29. Bucks, see, this is why I have fucking trust issues with stacked teams. You lose a very winnable game to the Washington football team led by none other than Taylor Heineke. Yeah, that's the story here. Yes, I understand that the Bucks have multiple fucking injuries on their defense, but the offensive blunders surely don't help the struggling defense whatsoever. Brady tossed 2 easy interceptions to the Washington defense. And just damn. I mean, 2-game losing streak at the moment. Let's just see how they rebound or if this is just some weird-ass downward spiral. I don't know. Because they look like crap. I mean, as far as Washington goes, I didn't think that they'd be able to even stay in this game the way Heineke was playing previously, but he actually looked very efficient in this game. Wasn't mind-blowing, but it was more than enough to get the job done to beat the Bucks. That's all you can say. Here's a game blew my fucking mind. Browns at Patriots. Browns 7, Patriots 45. My question going into this game, and I type out, whenever I type stuff out, I type out if it's a game of interest and why is it a game of interest and so on my sheet here. And this one says, are the Pats truly growing? So that was why it was a game of interest for me. So the Browns, man, I get it. I get that the beat up offense, the offense is beat up in so many positions, but Jesus Christ, this is just an embarrassing loss again, for them. This again leaves me questioning the integrity of the defense also, because they just literally couldn't stop anything that was being thrown at them or run at them. Pats, what did I say? What the fuck did I say? I said that this team is growing and looking better week by week by week, and to go in and absolutely embarrass the shit out of the Browns is just proof positive that I was right. Sorry. Next game, Falcons at Cowboys. Falcons 3, Cowboys 43. Good rebound for the Cowboys. Sorry, but I'm not surprised. This team is very much of a one-trick pony with their offense, and their defense is just very bad overall. The Cowboys outplayed their any part of their scheme, and proved that they're just not as good as their record shows. It's just a sad truth. The Cowboys. This is what I say when I say this is what I mean when I say that a good team should rebound from bad games. Okay, they came in against a shit team, just very much like the Bills. They came in against a shit team and beat them, as they should have. I mean, fucking smoked their asses, as they should have. That's really all I can say. Good on the Cowboys for rebounding. Just like the Bills. Good on the Bills for rebounding. I want to see more improvement. Here's one. Wasn't even a game of interest, honestly, because I didn't know who the starter was going to be for sure, because they were talking Sam Darnold injuries and everything else. And I think it's more of an excuse than anything, but whatever. But the Panthers at the Cardinals. Panthers 34, Cardinals 10. Man. Oh. Panthers. See, this was the expectation at the beginning of the season for me with the talent that's on this roster. They finally pulled Darnold out of the mix and stopped forcing the defense to try to outplay the idiotic mistakes that he was making, and boom, they have a chance of making a game of it. And yes, I know, pulled Darnold, whether he's out for injury, which really is the truth, or if they're just taking him out of the mix for right now, because, I mean, they're stuck with Sam Darnold for a minute. Just because of the contract. Sorry, couldn't think of the word. So they're stuck with Sam Darnold for a minute. So I don't know if he's just going to be a very expensive backup or what, but whatever. But you take him out of the fucking equation, and all of a sudden they look like a real team again. And Cam Newton going in there, boy, did he spark that fucking team. Ran for a touchdown, threw for a touchdown. Yes, he had that stupid ass penalty by ripping his helmet off, screaming, "I'm back" in the fucking end zone. But you know what? The dude, like he said in his post-game interview, he literally at the same time last week was eating a bowl of cereal watching football, and then all of a sudden he was starting as a quarterback, or at least popping in for plays. So yeah, this is very much what I expected from the Panthers. It just is. Cardinals, all I can say is, holy Jesus Christ, are they missing Kyler Murray? Colt McCoy was great. Well, not great, but good enough last week. This week, nope. Nope. Last week they found a way because the rest of the team rallied. This week, not so much when the Panthers just smothered them. That's just how it was. Vikings at Chargers. Another game of interest because I wanted to see if the Chargers could actually rebound. Vikings 27, Chargers 20, so no. Vikings. Well, the Vikings had so much to prove with their erratic play, and this game actually was pretty good for them. The Chargers are no punk team. They really aren't. They're a little disjointed right now. They're a little out of sorts, but they are not a punk team. And the Vikings went in there and just proved that they are trying to get better, and good for them, honestly. I mean, again, the Vikings roster isn't horrible. They really need to shore up the O-line, and they need to shore up their defense. If they can do those two things, their running game is going to explode because they've got a hell of a running back. And the receivers aren't terrible. So the Vikings have the makings of being a good team. They're just on that weird cusp. Chargers. As much faith as I have in the roster, I just, if you can't beat the lesser teams, I just don't know what to say. I mean, they were leading the division coming into this game, and now they're on the either in the 7th seed or on the bubble. I think they're in the 7th seed. I have to look at the stats. They played great in the first quarter, but then just couldn't keep up anything after that. It was a tough loss, and it was curious. I was honestly curious to see if they were going to rebound or not, and like I said, they didn't. Seahawks at Packers. Rusty Russell Wilson. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Seahawks 0. Russell's first NFL shutout. First time in Wilson's career that he's been shut out, and honestly, he wasn't doing his offense any favors. He looked rusty as fuck, to put it extremely mildly. Defensively, they showed up, but they were out there so long that they were just going to get gassed eventually, and Rodgers was going to make them pay for it in whatever way that he could, whether it was on the ground or in the air. And that's exactly what the team did. They made that defense pay in the fourth quarter and closed it out. The Packers. Well, if this doesn't cover defensive battle, I don't know what does. Rodgers wasn't really on point per se, but he helped them get out in the fourth quarter and finish out the Seahawks, which is exactly what they needed to do. A team to look for in the NFC coming into the playoff race. I will say this because this team is starting to kind of gain my curiosity on how they're doing things. Okay? Eagles at Broncos. Eagles 30, Broncos 13. Aside from an interception thrown, this was one damned efficient game, honestly. They only threw for 172 yards, but they rushed for 214 yards against something that I don't consider to be a punk defense. Not amazing, but not terrible. And defensively, they just kept control of the Broncos. Broncos, every time I think I've got some level of understanding and control over what I think they are, they do some nutty bullshit like this. This defense is better than giving up 214 yards on the ground. That's what I got to say. So, poor performance on both sides of the Broncos ball. Chiefs, Raiders, both teams, man. Both teams. Chiefs have been a fucking hot mess this year. They've been good, they've been bad, they've been meh. They've done a whole bunch of shit that they haven't been doing this year. And the Raiders have actually looked really good other than a few funky losses. Chiefs 41, Raiders 14. My question in this game was, for this game, who was the more well-rounded team? I think the score answers that in itself. Now, here's what I will say. To be completely objective about this, Chiefs, risky but efficient. That's how I would categorize this game. They played risky and efficient, and they finally showed everybody what everybody's been expecting. So let's be honest here. The defense finally showed that they're getting their shit together. Not gotten, but getting it together. Just as they have the last 2 years. For some reason, slow as fuck to start the season, and then as they start to get through the season, they get better. The offense has been just as erratic, though, underperforming and a giveaway monster. There were 2 passes from Mahomes that looked too damn close for comfort. And of course, the special teams turnover just added to the stat line of them fumbling and losing the fucking ball left and right that they just cannot seem to break free of. But this game, the offensive calls and Mahomes' follow through was finally patient, and it took the opportunities that the defense forced them to that the defense forced them to take, and it forced him to have patience, and he finally did. I mean, they only put up 94 yards on the ground. Not terrible. They put up 406 in the air with 5 passing touchdowns. We're going to see if it continues. I mean, in my opinion, the Raiders are no punk-ass team. But to come in and dominate a game like this against a team like the Raiders, that is a good step in the right direction. But now they get to face the Cowboys, and I think that's going to be a very, very different game. So the Raiders, man, I mean, what the fuck? What the hell were they thinking with their defense, first of all? First half, they were playing, they kept shifting from a two high safety shell to a single high safety zone. Or just straight up man-to-man coverage. What the fuck? I mean, what the fuck? The Chiefs made them pay for it. All that shuffling and all that stupid-ass play calling. The 2 high safety shell is the one thing that's been working the best for almost every team facing the Chiefs because it's been forcing Mahomes to be patient, and he's not that kind of player. He's an impatient player. So when you come out of that 2 high safety shell into a single high man-to-man safety set or a single high safety zone, they're going to fucking chew you up and spit you out like old bubble gum. There's the shower kicking on. Cool. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that. But the second half was even worse because the second half was just simple defensive desperation at that point. They started running single high safety, man-to-man coverage, and that's exactly what Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy just feast on. Okay, and that's exactly what they did. The offense just looked completely overwhelmed by the Chiefs' defense, and they took advantage of a few obvious situations, truthfully. But overall, This was a terrible performance by both sides of the squad. The line couldn't protect Carr for shit. Carr was making god-awful passes. The receivers weren't breaking free on their routes, and the Chiefs made a very solid-looking team look like a fucking high school varsity squad. What else do you say? It's the last game. Rams at 49ers. Rams 10, 49ers 31. The 49ers are not that good, in my opinion. They're just not. They're not horrible, but they're not this good. So the Rams, man, I don't know what the hell to say about this team. This is like the Bills to me at this point. How the fuck do you have a roster that is this damn stagnant, but this fucking built? And you keep picking up more stuff. Stafford just looks so out of touch with his routes. Receivers just didn't look outstanding per se. No realistic run game to speak of. And the defense just was not playing at their normal up to par level that I would consider. Again, with a roster this stacked and then making move after move after move and saying we're all in and everything to make themselves look absolutely dominant, their on-field performance is anything but that for the last few weeks. I mean, how are you going to keep up with the Cardinals if this is what you're doing? Because you're not. You're absolutely not. The 49ers, I really don't know what to take away from this week's performance, honestly, because this wasn't exactly what I would call dominant. I would call it taking advantage of a divisional team's struggles and using it for your own gain. I would. I mean, 182 passing yards and 155 rushing yards isn't really a stellar day. The 155 rushing yards, don't take that away. That's good. But 182 passing yards, and then the zone running game, and some pretty crafty little plays from Shanahan and everybody. So I mean, it was a good game. So kudos to them for beating the better opponent. And they obviously exploited issues that they saw on tape, but they've got a long road ahead of them if they want to even touch that 7 seed. So final standings week 10. Here's where it gets very interesting. So the AFC Titans are 8-2. Leading the division. Bills 6-3. Ravens 6-3. So now the Bills are in second. Ravens are in third. Chiefs are in fourth. They were last in the division 2 weeks ago and on the bubble. And this week they're in the 4th seed. Don't know how long that's going to last because we're week 10, but whatever. Steelers are 5-3-1, so they're sitting in the 5 seed. Patriots are 6-4 in the 6 seed, and the Chargers are in the 7 seed at 5-4. And the bubble teams are Bengals, Raiders, Browns, Colts. The whole back end. I swear to God, the AFC, aside from the Titans right now, having a full 2-game lead. Well, we'll call it a game and a half, but because we're 8-2 to 6-3. So yeah, no, that's 2 game. They haven't had their bye week, so we'll call it a game and a half. But game and a half lead over anybody else. The AFC, honestly, in my opinion, is wide open for interpretation at this point. It really is. It's really going to come down to the end of the season, I think. That are some major blunders. The NFC is a very, very interesting story right now, truthfully. Packers are 8-2. Cardinals are 8-2, but Packers have beaten the Cardinals, so therefore they're the number 1. Cardinals are number 2. Cowboys are 7-2 at number 3. Buccaneers are 6-3 at number 4. Rams are 7-2. Let's check that because I think they're 7-3 actually. Yeah, 7-3. My fault. Rams are 7-3. Let's fix that. Like to have my right numbers. That I do. Okay, so the Rams are 7-3 on the 5 seed. The Saints are 5-4, 6 seed. I don't know how long that's going to last. The Panthers 5-5 at the 7 seed. And honestly, if the Panthers played like they did this week and continue, I could see that going up to the 6th seed. But that leaves a very interesting position. With the Saints playing the way they are, if they keep having injury problems the way they are, and the Eagles actually keep pressing the matter, I think that either the Eagles or the Vikings have a hell of a push for that potential 7 seed. Now, are they going to beat anybody in the top 4? No. I don't see the Eagles beating the Packers, the Cardinals, the Cowboys, or the Bucks. If they were going to beat anybody, it would be the Bucks, and it would surely just be by that running game against that beat-ass fucking Buccaneers defense. So that's it for Week 10. I'm very sorry again for the late post, but that's what I got. So, folks, catch you for the next one.